Hey there, welcome back. I'm sure you must have heard the word tokens when using ChatGPT or the OpenAI APIs. Now, what are tokens and why you should even care about counting them? So, in this video, we'll figure out exactly that. We'll use OpenAI's tick token package and we'll try to find out the number of tokens in our messages. And at the end of this video, I'll give you a free tool that you can use to count the number of tokens in your messages. So, let's begin. If you are new to this channel, my name is Mohammed Shahrukh and I make videos on coding and how you can use it to build something amazing. So if you are into coding, you might want to subscribe. So what are tokens? Language models like GPT-4 read and write texts in chunks, and these chunks are called tokens. So the number of tokens from a text message also depends on the language. So for example, in the English language, a token can be as long as one word or it can be as short as a single character. Now there are three main reasons why you should even care about counting the number of tokens. First reason is that it affects the API call cost. Now if you go to the OpenAI's pricing page, you'll see that the pricing for all the models are mentioned as per tokens. Now in an API call, the final cost of the API call depends on two things. So the number of tokens that you give as an input to the language model plus the number of tokens in the output of the language model. So we'll see them in code later in this video. Second reason is that it will affect how long your API call will take. So if you're giving a large amount of text as input to the language model, so the number of tokens will be more. So as a result, the API call will take larger duration of time. Third reason is that it will decide if the API call will take place or not, because language models have a limit on the number of tokens it can receive. So for example, GPT 3.5 Turbo has a maximum token limit of 4097. That means that GPT 3.5 Turbo cannot receive more tokens than 4097 tokens. Now that you know that counting the number of tokens in your message is important, so let's head to our editor and see how we can use the tick token package to count the number of tokens in our messages. So for that, first of all, we'll install the package with this command. Once we have it installed, we are ready to import it in our code. Now, converting our message to tokens involves encoding the message in certain format. So the tick token package provides us helper functions for that. So we'll just do enc.ticktoken.encoding for model. And for this example, we'll use GPT-4 as model name. Now this will give us an encoder using which we can basically encode our message. So we can call the encode function and we can supply the message that needs to be encoded. So supplied this as a message, and let's see what is the output of this function call. So we will just print it now. I'll run the code. So yeah, so here you see that it is a list of integers. So these are nothing but the integer representation of our tokens. So if you just do if you just store the output in a variable, so encoded message is this. You store it as a variable. Now let's print. First of all, we'll print the encoded message, and then we'll print encoded enc.decode encoded message. Let's try to run the file, and you see that the original text came after decoding the message. So this is what this is basically these are basically the integer representation of the tokens, and the token count is nothing but the length of this array. So print length of encoded message. So over here you see the output as 8. So you can say that the number of tokens in this piece of text is 8. So there are other ways in which you can find out the number of tokens in your message. And one of them is that you can use the OpenAI's completion API. So when you call the completion API, the response has the number of tokens that are involved in this API call. So we'll see them in action just now. So for that, first of all, what we'll do is that we'll import OpenAI from OpenAI, import OpenAI, and we'll create client. Now, if you have not installed this package already, you can install it using this command pip3 install. And once you have it installed, you also need to set the environment variable wherein you will specify the OpenAI API key. If you haven't done, if you don't know how to do it, you can watch my previous videos wherein I've just did the same. Now, once you have the client created, you can call the chat completion API. So we'll just do it response client.chat.completions.create. Now it will expect a few parameters. So the first being the model name. So in this example, I'll just use GPT 3.5 Turbo. And then it will expect a list of messages. So messages can be of three types. So it can be either system message, assistant message, or the user message. So this is basically a list, and it will have role as a key, wherein the role can be user, assistant, or system. So I'll just use user for now, and the content of the message. What is astrophysics? Just ask this question, and we'll just print response for now and see what is the output. So you can see that the output is here. So you can see that it has a choices attribute and it has a usage attribute. So for this example, we'll only focus on the usage because we are more concerned about the number of tokens. So dot usage, we'll just try to print it now. Run the command again. Yeah. So you can see that this is the usage attribute of the final response. So you can see that completion tokens is 110. So completion token is the number of tokens that are there in this response. So the response that you get out of the API. So this is the response which I've highlighted. So this is a total of 110 tokens, and prompt tokens is the number of tokens that we have supplied to the model. So it is 12. So by that I mean that the entire message that we have supplied to the model, this is a total of 12 tokens that we have supplied, and the total tokens on which we are charged by the API is 122. So the final cost of this API call will be 122 tokens, and it will be calculated on as per the pricing of the model that we have used. Now I will show you the free tool using which you can count the number of tokens in your messages. So this is the tool that I built. You can head over to scribblewithai.com/token counter. On this page, you can select the model for which you want to count the number of tokens for your messages, and you can select the message format. Now, what is message format? As you know that the newer models like GPT-4, the newer versions of GPT-4 and GPT 3.5, they have a new message formatting wherein you supply the message as an array of objects to the API. So this is what we did in the example before. And if you're supplying the message in that format, you can just select JSON in that case. Otherwise, you can go ahead and use the plain text. So let's use the JSON format, and let's try to count the number of tokens that we sent in the previous example and see if it matches. We'll just copy the previous message that we sent in the completion API, copy it and paste it over here. Now this is in the newer messages format, so we'll just select JSON from here. Now we'll hit the get number of tokens button, and over here you can see that it is 12 tokens, and this is the same as the output from the OpenAI API call. There you have it, a breakdown of ChatGPT tokens and how you can count them using the OpenAI stick token package. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like the video and comment down below if you have any questions or the topics that you would like me to cover next. Until then, happy coding and stay curious.